what are the best cards they should consider? What are the best credit cards, in your opinion, that people should consider in 2025?
There are dozens and dozens and dozens of different credit cards out there, and they're not all the same. Some are objectively pretty bad, while others are great.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Calvin Russell here. Super excited to bring you all yet another guest speaker. Okay. Now, listen, this guy knows everything about these specific credit cards he's going to be talking to you all about today. So, listen, go ahead, get your notepads out, and get ready to take listen, just to grab the gems that he's going to be dropping. Okay. So, get ready to take some notes. Okay. He does not have a lot of time. So we most definitely got to get this information while we can. I want to introduce you all to my guy, Chase Yokoyama. Okay. So Chase, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can, Calvin. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here, and I'm excited to talk about the things that we have planned for today.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Of course, as YouTubers, it's a little weird because we spend so much time in front of the camera, but we actually watch YouTube too, right? So, and I came
It's a
across some
shocker.
of your videos, and I was like, man, there's some information here that people need to know, especially we're in 2025. I know people have these types of questions, and so we
Mhm.
wanted to go ahead and bring you in. But before we do, let's go into a couple of different things. Now, who's the man behind, the scenes behind the credit cards and such? How'd you find yourself like becoming like a YouTuber to talk about credit cards in general? How did that
Yeah,
whole thing happen?
good question. And it was quite a windy journey because I think I created my first YouTube channel in high school. That was just a dream of mine back then, and
Yeah.
I since then have created, I think, three channels. This is my
Wow.
third channel. I went from that like a gaming channel to a vlogging challenge type of channel,
Yeah.
and I did like this hype beast mystery box unopening channel.
Wow.
So I guess this is my fourth one,
Yeah.
to the credit card channel, and the reason being is because all those previous YouTube channels, I thought that's what I was really passionate about.
Yeah.
The problem was when I started making, let's say, video game content for the YouTube channel, it wasn't working out. I got bored. Same thing for the
Mm,
vlog. Same thing for the unboxing one.
yeah.
And all while this is happening in my part or side time, I'll be looking up credit card stuff. I'll be looking up investing, budgeting, all this
Yeah.
nerdy things that my high school friends and college friends weren't interested in. So I decided, okay, maybe I should take that advice that everyone says of talk about what you're passionate about. So
Yeah.
that's what finally got me to create this fourth channel, started talking about credit cards. And like I have been doing this for years now, and I am not getting sick of it. And the best part that came from it was that I was able to find people to talk about this stuff with,
Yeah.
because still till this day, so I'm 28, going to be 29 later this year. Still,
Yeah.
my peers are not as interested in these topics
Mm,
as I am, as you are, as
yeah.
everyone watching here is. You know, so I wanted to find my community, and I've been very blessed to find that community through
Yeah.
YouTube, and eventually got to meet some of these guys in person, both
Wow.
viewers and creators. And I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah. No, man, it's amazing. And not only that, though, Chase, is that it seems to come really natural for you because these are credit cards that you're actually using. So
That's it.
even if you didn't have a channel, these would be a lot of decisions that you're like doing like on a regular basis. So it's a natural thing. So let's get right into it, man. My audience, they love to get right into it, but I wanted them to just get an idea of who Chase is, because a
Right.
lot of times we make the videos, things of that sort, but it's always fun to hear stories like how do we get into all of this. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're in 2025. There's a lot of credit cards out there. People are getting credit card offers in the mail all the time, but they just don't know what are the best cards they should consider. What are the best credit cards, in your opinion, that people should consider in 2025?
See, that's a great question, because, like you just mentioned, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of different credit cards out there, and they're not all the same. Some are objectively pretty bad, while others are great. There's some that are average, but yeah, I have
Mhm.
I have made a video where I compiled for this specific video, 5 credit cards that I think you can't really go wrong with. They're pretty good. And the great part about them is that they're great for most people. It's not like a niche person, like a specific hotel or specific airline credit card. This is good for like that general audience. So one of those credit cards that I have on that list is the Capital One Savor card. And now this card is funny because I actually don't have this one, and I've been trying to get this one for a while. But Capital One is very stingy on people who have a lot of credit cards, especially if you applied to a lot of credit cards recently. So unfortunately, I don't have this card. But if you don't have that same problem as me and you're able to get the Capital One Savor, I think it is a great credit card to have. Why? Well, because it has no annual fee, which is always nice to have, but also because it earns pretty decently on a lot of different everyday purchases. So you have 3% cash back on dining, groceries, entertainment, and even streaming services. So like that covers a lot of different purchases that someone would make every day, every week, and so on. And still no annual fee. And it's Capital One points that you're getting. So Capital One points are pretty good. They're not,
Yeah.
like some of the lower end bank points. They're not like Chase or Amex points, which I think, in my opinion, are a little bit better. But Capital
Yeah.
One points are fantastic. So you can't go wrong with that. You also on this card get 5% back on hotels and rental cars through Capital One Travel, which could be good, but I'm looking at it mainly for those 3% cashback categories. This card, so the way that I organize this list is that each card plays a different role. And then this card
Okay.
in particular is that dining and groceries kind of credit card.
If you're looking to get funding for your business with no minimum credit score required, this includes term loans, equipment finance, and even fix and flip loans as well. To learn more, scan this QR code or click the link in the description below. Now back to the video.
Of course, the entertainment and the streaming service part is kind of like an extra bonus. So that moves on. So now we move on to the second card, which I think would go well, is a card like the Citi Custom Cash. Now, this card is slightly different in the fact, or in the sense that you kind of get to choose your spending category that will earn 5% back for that month. So some eligible categories would be gas, again, dining, streaming services, travel, and more. And the way that this works is whatever eligible spend category that you spent the most money on in that month or billing cycle, Citi is going to give you 5% cash back on that category. Okay.
Wow.
But the problem is, or I guess not problem, but the thing you want to keep in mind is that every other category outside of that main one, you're only going to earn 1% back. So you really want to make sure that you are only using this card for one specific category. That way you can maximize it and get the total 5% back. And it's only good up to $500 in purchases. So if you are spending like $1,000 in gas every month, you're going to want to switch cards to another card I'll talk about later after you reach that $500 cap. But this card is good for example, gas purchases, or let's say you use the Capital One card for, I guess, like groceries. Then you could use the Citi Custom Cash for dining, at least up until that $500 cap for the month. And then you could switch back to the Capital One Savor. But this card also has the Citi Custom Cash, also has no annual fee. So this is good because you aren't having to pay to use this card every year. So we're keeping the costs low while you're still getting the maximum value that you could get. And the role that this card plays is kind of like almost a flex role, right? Because it doesn't have to be that gas credit card. It could be your travel card. It could be your groceries card. You just choose that eligible spend category that you want to use, and you just use this Citi Custom Cash card. Small tangent is that this is more towards, like, I guess, the advanced side of things, but you can get multiple Citi Custom Cash cards as well.
Really? Okay.
So some people have, we'll just say 2, and they have one custom cash card for groceries and the other one for like dining. So that is a possibility later down the road.
Wow.
But I mean, let's just keep it simple. You just start with one Citi Custom Cash card.
Wow.
And then now we're moving more towards like the bigger cards, the cards that give you more benefits and credits, and with that some annual fees. And I chose the Capital One Venture X.
Okay.
So personally, I like traveling a lot. I think that's one of the best things you could do. It brings me satisfaction. You get to try different food
Yeah.
cultures. Have an open mind. I love traveling, and the Capital One Venture X is, I think, the best value premium travel credit card out there right
Wow.
now. It is very hard to beat. I mean, they did go through a recent nerf that's coming up, which I'll talk about.
Yeah.
But as it is right now, I think it's one of the best value credit cards out there.
Wow.
And I guess to give you an example, it's a $395 annual fee card.
Yeah.
Compare that to the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which is like $550 per year.
Hmm.
The Amex
Yeah.
Platinum, $695 per year. So the Venture X is the cheapest of those, premium travel credit cards.
Got
But
it.
I think it just gives you so much bang for your buck without having to do a lot of work, which is
Yeah.
what people don't like doing, at
Right.
least for the Amex Platinum card. So the Venture X, it is a $395 annual fee, like I just mentioned,
Yeah.
but it gives you an annual $300 travel credit that you could use on the Capital One travel portal. So every year, every anniversary year,
Yeah.
you're given this credit, and all you need to do is go on the travel portal and find a flight or hotel or even car rental to use that $300 travel credit on. So ideally, that should be an easy $300 that you get back, because you could find that domestic flight or international flights, that
Yeah.
hotel for that one night stay or something along the lines of that.
That was going to be my question too. And, how do you feel about annual fees in general? Is that something that people should just get used to along their credit card journey, depending on the type of card they end up getting?
That's a great question. And I always look at it as it's worth the annual fees are really worth it if you, before you apply, take a look at what this card will give you. Because, for example, I
Yeah.
have the Amex Platinum card. So that's
Yeah.
the $695 annual fee,
Yeah.
which is a lot of money for,
Yeah.
for a credit card.
Yeah.
But that card is giving me over $1,000 worth of value every year. So to
Mm.
me, that makes sense to get
Yeah.
that card, because the benefits and credits that come with it fits my lifestyle, and I'm able to justify that annual fee.
Right.
Whereas if I chose, let's say, that Capital One Savor card or the Citi Custom Cash card or some other no annual fee card, sure, I'm not paying an annual fee on those
Yeah.
cards, but I'm not
But
getting the same results, same experiences, same benefits and credits as a card with an annual fee might give you.
yeah.
So annual fees, obviously it sucks because you have to pay to use these cards, but ideally you would be that target audience for that credit card, and you would make use of the benefits and credits that you get from it.
Wow.
So annual fees, yeah, it is part of the game. I would, if you're just starting off, I would recommend
Yeah.
taking a look at the no annual fee cards first, because
Yeah.
just because it doesn't have a annual fee doesn't mean it's a bad card. There are great
Exactly.
no annual fee
Exactly.
cards, and some people,
Yeah.
their whole setup is filled with no annual fee cards,
Yep.
and that's amazing. If it works for you,
Yeah.
then that's the main part. Like don't listen to, if I tell you you need annual fee cards, don't listen to me, because it depends on your situation, your
That's
lifestyle.
right. That's right.
Amex Platinum is my favorite card, but it's not for everyone. I wouldn't
There you
recommend
go.
everyone to get it just because it's fancy. It's $695 annual fee. Doesn't mean anything. It's what are
Yeah.
you going to use? So it could be no annual fee or annual fee. But going back to the Venture X,
Yeah.
which again I have this card, and it's great. That $300 annual travel credit is easy to use,
Yeah.
along with this other benefits that you get, which is every anniversary year you get 10,000 Capital One miles. So
Mm.
these are the same Capital One miles that you would get from the sign up bonus from this credit card, or when you're
Wow.
spending the credit card. So that means you could use it for a lot of different things, right? Cash back. You could use, there's Capital One has this thing called a travel eraser, where you pay for flights and you could use points to kind of like reimburse for that flights or any travel related purchase. So you could do that with those miles. You could spend it on a Capital One travel portal flight or
Mm.
booking, hotel, rental cars, or you could transfer those miles to one of Capital One's travel transfer partners. So these 10,000 anniversary miles that you get every year are worth, at the bare minimum, are worth $100. So with just those first two benefits, that alone, you have a
Yeah.
$300 travel credit and $100 worth of miles. So that's $400 worth of potential value on a $395 annual fee card. So that's why
Wow.
a lot of people say that, oh, this card pays you $5 to hold on to it every year. But basically, yeah, you get $400 worth of value. Both are very easy to use every year. So that's why it helps make this card really great. But it gets better. So as far as spending on this card, this is my like catch-all credit card, which
Mm.
I'm not sure if everyone understands that terminology, but a
Yeah. What does that
catch-all,
mean?
yeah, so a catch-all credit card is a card that you are able to use for any purchase, doesn't matter what it is, and you're going to earn a decent amount of points on. So like the
Mm.
previous two cards I talked about, right? The Savor one, it's good for like the dining, they'll earn 3% back on like dining, groceries, entertainment, streaming services. But anything
Yeah.
outside of that, it's only going to earn 1% back. So it's not
Mm.
a catch-all card, because if you want to buy a laptop, clothes, whatever, a computer, you're only going to
Yeah.
earn 1% back, not a catch-all card. So for a catch-all credit card, you want to look at least 2x back on general purchases. And that's what the Venture X does. It gives you 2x back on any purchase. So if you were to buy that computer, or even food, or like a lights or speakers, whatever it may be, you're going to earn
Yeah.
2x on those points, meaning you're going to catch all those other purchases that your other cards don't cover. So that's why, yeah, these cards all kind of work together. The first two are, dining, entertainment, groceries, gas, and the Venture X would be anything outside of that. That's what the catch all comes from.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Um,
I like that because I
yeah,
think when people are going through their credit card journey, I don't think they approach it where they're thinking like, okay, how can I maximize everything if I'm going to get a credit card? Because a lot of times people start off with credit cards that don't give anything. They start off with a Capital One
amen. Yeah.
Platinum. They get a Credit One or something like that throughout their journey. And also too, I just noticed your name down at the bottom, how you typed it in, Chase, not
Oh,
Chase.
Chase on.
But,
Yeah, that's cool.
but anyway, go ahead. I don't want to hold you.
No, no, yeah. The way that I see credit cards, and I think a lot of
Yeah.
people see credit cards, is that it is like a puzzle piece. So as you can tell, there's not one single credit card that will be the best setup for you. That's never going to happen. Like one
Yeah.
card that does it all. Okay, I say need very, very loosely, but
Yeah.
that's why you need multiple credit cards, because you cover different areas, right? It's like a football team, right?
Yeah.
One player isn't the whole team. You need to have that receiver, the lineman, the quarterback, the running back. They specialize in some role, and
Yeah.
together they come together as that team that is the most effective. And that's kind of like a credit card setup, or what's in your wallet, your credit card
Yeah.
strategy. All these cards play different roles,
Yeah.
and they come together to give you the maximize rewards on your spend. And that's what we're going after. We want to maximize your spend to give you, the user, as many rewards as possible.
Yeah.
So the Venture X is the catch-all part, the 2x. It also earns you 10x on hotels and car rentals through the Capital One travel portal, and 5x also through the Capital One travel portal. But this
Wow.
card also has other travel-related benefits. So one of them being is airport lounge access. So you
Mm.
get priority pass lounge access and Capital One lounge access. Okay, personally, I don't really use airport lounges. I mean, do you
Mm.
use airport lounges when you travel, Kelvin?
You know,
I'm curious.
we have in the past. That's why I was going to ask, like, especially like we're going international or something like that.
Mhm.
Is it something that we should know, or is it just a preference? Sounds like.
So, yeah, okay. I've used airport lounges, definitely. Okay, and
Yeah.
there's a time and a place. So I live in Los Angeles right now.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah.
when I'm going on a trip, like leaving my house, I'm usually going straight from my house to the airport. I don't want to go there hours before my flight and
Just
just
to
sit
hang out.
around, just to go, yeah, just to go to a lounge for some free food, bro. I could get that from home. I could just eat when I'm at home. I just want to
Yeah.
go to the airport, drop my bags off, go straight to the gate, get on the airplane.
In and
I don't
out
want, yeah, I don't want to mess around. Okay, and I'm also like that for the most time when I'm traveling. Like if I'm coming
Yeah.
back home, I stay at the hotel for as long as I can.
to the last minute.
Yeah, I cut it close, man. I cut it close sometimes. But however, it has helped me on layovers. So if I'm
Yeah.
stuck in the airport for an
That's right.
hour or more, I go to a
Yep.
lounge. It's a nice place to relax, get
Yep.
some
If the flight's
food, get some
delayed.
drinks. Flights, dude. One time, yeah, I was so I had a layover over there, And it was originally supposed to be like a 1 hour, 2 hour layover.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was at night. It was like 8 p.m. or something. My flight was like
Yeah.
at 10, whatever. I was like, okay, cool. I'll just go to the lounge, hang out. Then I get an email or notification saying my flight got delayed. It's now pushed back to 2 a.m. So I'm like,
Wow.
oh my God, what am I going to do? Right.
Yep.
But thankfully, there were lounges there that I could access where
Wow.
I could take a shower. I took a shower, and that
There
was
you go.
amazing.
Wow.
There's food, drinks, a place to hang out with Wi-Fi. So I just chilled in
Yeah.
the lounges for the 4 or 5 hours. I was really
Wow.
tired and grumpy, but I was happy and privileged to be in the lounge, at least grumpy.
Yeah.
So in those cases, it definitely helps out. Or if you are the type of person to go to the airport earlier than usual, then sure, go to a lounge.
That's right.
There's a time and a place. But
Absolutely.
yeah, but with the Venture X, another thing that is great is that you could add up to 4 authorized users to
Wow.
this card for free, and each authorized user, at least right now, will get lounge access. So if you travel with,
Wow.
your family, right,
Yeah.
as the primary Venture X card holder, you are only allowed to bring 2 additional guests. So if you have a family of 4, then you're gonna have to leave someone behind. But not with
Wow.
the Venture X. You could add your partner as an authorized user. So now your authorized user will get in, you will get in, and you each get 2 guests to bring in with you.
Wow.
Okay, so if
Yeah.
you max out the 4 authorized users and you bring 2 guests each, you could bring up to 15 people for free
Yeah.
into a lounge, which is crazy. But that's where Capital One is nerfing this next year. So starting
Mm.
February 1st, 2026, you can
Yeah.
no longer do that. As a matter of fact, you have to pay, I think it was $45 per guest starting
Wow.
next year, which sucks. You're going from bringing in 2 free guests to no free
Yeah.
guests. You have to pay $45 for a guest. Kids, I think, are $25.
Yeah.
And even authorized users need to pay $125 a year to keep their lounge
Wow.
access, I guess, privileges. So
Wow.
there is a big devaluation coming in less than a year. But if you
Yeah.
do have the Venture X, if you're planning on getting it, you do have until February to take advantage of this lounge access benefits. But it's a great card to have. You also get TSA PreCheck and Global Entry membership with this credit card. And let me tell you, if you travel
That alone.
at least
Yeah.
once, you need to have at least pre-check,
Yes.
at least.
No,
Um,
tell people real quick, because I know people may not travel that often or whatever, or when they do travel, it's like, okay, I should have got that. What is TSA pre-check? Just so people know.
yeah, okay. So TSA pre-check is when you're going to the TSA security line, and if you don't have pre-check, you gotta stand in usually the longer lines, right? And when you get to the detectors, I gotta take out my laptop. Now you gotta take out
Yep.
your iPad. I gotta take out my liquids. Gotta take off my shoes. Gotta take off my belt. So you're undressing and unpacking in front of everyone, you know. And
Yeah.
then you can finally go through, then put all that stuff back inside your bag.
Yeah.
But if you have TSA pre-check, there's a whole separate line for you to go to,
That's right.
and usually it's shorter, usually it's faster
Yeah.
because you don't have to take out your laptop, take out your liquids, take off your shoes. You literally just drop your bag on the belt and you walk on through.
Wow.
It's as simple as that.
There you
And
go.
the thing is, yeah, it does cost money if you were to get this without the help of a credit card. I think it's like
Absolutely.
$100 every 4 years or something like that.
Yep.
But even if you don't have a benefit to get that reimbursed, I
Yeah.
would still say that pre-check is worth it if you travel a couple times a year. Like it
Yeah.
just saves you the time, the trouble. Okay. Sorry. TSA pre-check is only available in the United States. So if you're in Japan,
That's
France,
right.
at those airports, they don't
Yeah.
got TSA pre-check because
Nope.
that's not an American airport. Okay.
That's right.
But usually those airports are fast. I've found that
They are.
the international airports know what they're doing.
They're more chill. I mean, depending on where you're
They're more,
going. If you go
yeah,
like to
that's true.
Jamaica, that line is wrapped. But yeah.
Yeah, they got it figured out. I think one of the nicer airports I've been in, I think, as far as like the process going, I think it was
Yeah.
Copenhagen. I studied abroad in Copenhagen, and they had very nice facilities. Everyone was chill. Also, probably because there's not a lot of people traveling in and out of
Yeah.
Copenhagen, everything just went by so fast and smooth. I was like,
Wow.
wow, I wish the US was like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it depends. Like you said, it depends where you go. Yeah, TSA pre-check, only in America, and that is just like global entry. What global
Wow.
entry is when you're coming back to the United States after traveling abroad,
Yeah.
you basically have a fast pass to go through customs and immigration. So once again,
Yeah.
instead of standing in a long line where you gotta wait and then show your passport and go through all of that, global entry allows you to just like scan. I forget if it's your face or passport or something, but it's just a really quick process. You scan something and you just walk past. I mean, of course, if you're unfortunate enough to get randomly checked, then they'll stop and ask you questions. That
Yeah.
hasn't happened to me yet. Just don't look suspicious, I guess. But global entry has saved me, I think, more time than TS Preach. Actually, no, it's probably equal.
It's
But
up there though. Yeah. It's a
yeah,
time saver though, still. Yeah.
if you see the customs and immigration lines sometimes coming back into the U.S., those things are long, man. And I just
Yeah.
want to get home. You just flew a long way, so you gotta get that global entry. So if the card has these benefits or reimburses you for those memberships, bro, just use them. Just use them. It is worth the hassle of doing the interview and all of that stuff.
Awesome.
Well,
Okay.
all
Man.
that to say. Oh, go. Sorry, go.
No, no, good. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say all that to say or round up the Capital One Venture X being like a great basic premium travel credit card.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest. A lot of people don't talk about this card, and it's a card that a lot of people can get. You know, everyone starts off a relationship with someone like a Capital One. They've had either a Capital One
Mhm.
card or an auto loan with Capital One. So this, in my opinion, is much easier to get than
Oh,
some of
yeah.
these other cards that are out here. Where obviously, if you're thinking like a credit union, a Navy Federal, or something like that, you got to be a member. So or with Amex, you may say, I don't know if I want to pay that annual fee. So again, this is something
Yeah.
that's most definitely, a great card to consider for sure.
Oh yeah. I'm glad you said
Yeah.
that. I mean, I'll talk about Chase next because they
Yeah.
are notorious to not like you or not accept you when you
Yeah.
first start your credit card journey. I know some people, or I've heard of some people getting a Chase credit card as their first ever credit card, but that does not happen often. So if one of you guys
That's right.
watching is lucky enough to get a Chase card as your first card, then you are, very rare. That does not happen
Yeah.
often.
Yeah.
But the first Chase credit card that I have in this list is the Chase Sapphire Preferred. And this is like
Mm,
their entry level travel credit card. And this card also has an annual fee of $95 per year. And then you might ask, like, okay, why do you need two travel credit cards? We just went over the Venture X. Now we're talking about the Chase
yeah.
Sapphire Preferred, another travel credit card. So the Venture X is going to be your catch all credit card with the 2x reward multipliers. And it gives you all those travel privileges, benefits like the global entry, the lounge access, and stuff like that. Whereas the Chase
Yeah.
Sapphire Preferred doesn't give you any benefits
Mm,
outside the reward multipliers. But
yeah.
here's what we're going to use it for though is the Chase ecosystem. Chase points I think are the best points.
Yeah.
it's
That's
it's
out there. At
debatable,
least.
but
Yeah.
I think it is the best points out there.
Yeah.
So the reason being is with the Chase points, you kind of want to transfer them to travel partners like Hyatt's or United. Hyatt is like the big one that everyone uses because there's so much value you could get with Chase points when you transfer them to Hyatt. But for categories, the Chase Sapphire Preferred earns 3x on dining, you got 2x on travel, I think like 5x through the Chase travel portal. So you can use these for dining purchases and general travel purchases, like when you're paying for the metro or paying
Mm,
for an Uber, or of course, flights and hotels. Airbnbs even count as this travel category. This card also comes with a $50 annual hotel credit when you book through the Chase travel portal.
wow.
Personally, I've never used it, but if you do use it, it does basically make the $95 annual fee half off, 40
Wow.
$45 a year
Yeah.
if you book through the Chase travel portal and use that $50 credit every year. But again, the main point for the Chase Sapphire Preferred card is to get access to Chase's travel partners and for you to start getting Chase points,
Yeah.
because I think you could do some real good damage with Chase points. And this card then ties into the next card, which I think you should pair with it, which is a
Yeah.
Chase Inc. Business credit card. And
Mm,
specifically the Inc. Business Unlimited and Inc.
yeah.
Business Cash, two no annual fee credit cards.
Wow.
So the pretty much the main reason why we're getting this Inc. Business card
Yeah.
is for the sign up bonus. Because
Mm,
For
Yeah.
example, the Chase Sapphire Preferred card usually gives you 60,000 points, which is not that great. I'll be honest, it's not that great
Yeah.
for a $95 annual fee card. Whereas an
Right.
Ink Business card will give you at least 75,000 points
Wow.
for a no annual
Wow.
fee card. And they often have increased sign up bonuses for 90,000 Chase points.
Wow. Yeah. I've seen that.
So yeah, like I got I think three or four Ink Business credit cards, all at 90,000 sign up bonus points. So
Wow.
they're very valuable.
Yeah.
And once you get those points from the Ink Business card, you could send them over to your Chase Sapphire Preferred and use them
Wow.
for those travel transport partners that we talked about earlier, the
Now that's
Hyatts,
the hack.
United, and that is the hack.
Yeah.
Like, and the question is, okay, it's a business credit card. I don't have a business. That's okay. You don't need to have a business. You just need to have that social security number.
That's
Like,
it.
yeah, you don't have to have a, like a business. Or, you might think, oh, you need to own a bakery or some sort of storefronts.
Yeah.
You don't, and that's the beauty. And people think it's an obstacle. They don't have a business. They can't get business credit cards, but that's like a common misconception. You do have access to business credit cards without having an actual business. You could put personal spend on your business credit cards. Like Chase doesn't care. I continue to put personal spend on business credit cards. They're not gonna, hurt you at all. So that's another misconception people think is like, oh, you should
Mm.
only put business expenses on business credit cards. That's not necessarily true. But that would be like, or the Ink Business credit card would be just like a points feeder to your Chase Sapphire Preferred via the
Right.
sign up bonus. Because, like I
Right.
mentioned, you can get multiple Ink Business cards for one person. Of course, if you do have an LLC or a sole prop, then you could get more Ink Business cards under those entities as well as just your regular social security number. So
Yep.
you could get a lot of Ink Business credit cards and a lot of points, which you could then send over to be used for travel or whatever it may be. Um,
Wow.
and then the last, we already talked about the 5 cards, but there's a last bonus card on here,
Yeah.
which is the Bilt Mastercard. And for those of you who rent, this is like a must, an
Yeah.
essential credit card, because your rent is probably one of the most expensive expenses that you have per month,
That's right.
and no other credit card as of right now lets you earn points on rent without paying a fee of some sort. So the Bilt credit card allows you to earn one times points on your rent without a fee. And that's huge. And this card also has no annual fee, even no foreign transaction fees, and is actually a great like spending credit card too, because you also earn 3x on dining, 2x on travel, anything like 5x on Lyft rides. And the crazy thing about the Bilt card is that you could also transfer your Bilt points to travel partners that Chase has. Like, for example, you
Mm.
can send these to Hyatt. You
Yeah.
can send
Wow.
these to, I think United is also another one. They have a long, great list of travel
Of
transfer
partners. Yeah.
partners.
Wow.
So you could Bilt points are pretty valuable. Of course, there's only one card, being the Bilt card, which gives you Bilt points, and it does not have a sign up bonus. So the only real way to get Bilt points is by putting spend. And that's what makes like the Chase cards different, is because there's a lot of Chase cards that all earn Chase points. Most Chase cards have sign up bonuses. You get huge lump sums of points at one time, whereas the Bilt card doesn't have anything like that. But if you spend money on rent, then this card is kind of a must have, because I don't want you guys leaving money on the table when you could have
Yeah.
been at least earning some points from it, whatever your rent may be. It does cover, or it does earn rent points up to 100,000 points per year. So
Mm.
if any of you ballers out there spend more than $100,000 on rent every year, then this card would only be able to give you up to 100,000 points, and not after that. So
Wow.
they are working on trying to
Uh,
earn points on mortgages. So if there are
yeah.
homeowners out there, then that is
Yep.
something to keep an eye on. And I don't know, Bilt is, they work with Wells Fargo, and they're doing something different, and it's something to take advantage of.
Wow, man, that's some great information to have because I think a lot of people, a lot of people have forgotten about the Built card, in general. Because I do know that some people were trying to figure out if they can get that mortgage on there and things like that. So when it first came
Oh
out,
yeah.
and but people have most definitely been taking advantage of adding their rental, to that, as well too, and getting those points because I mean, the average person spending over $1,000, a month, just in
At
that,
least.
in rent.
Hmm.
Thanks again, Chase, for stopping by the channel. Listen, guys, Chase talks about this
Thank
stuff
you.
on his YouTube channel all the time. Make sure you guys, if you haven't done anything, make sure you guys go ahead and check out his channel and get more of that information, sir. So thanks again for stopping by. And
Thank you,
listen,
Kevin.
man, we got to have you back again. So we'll keep you posted.
Of course, I would love to be back. Thank you again for having me. I appreciate it. I had fun. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next video.